Okay, so here we are with the topic here we're looking at is zero-rated supplies. So basically, we've got to understand that they are taxable supplies. So taxable supplies are those supplies that basically can levy VAT. So they'd be supplies that are taxable in nature. So zero-rated supplies basically is also supplies that are taxable in nature, but they're only taxable to a certain extent. You cannot say zero-rated supplies are not taxable. They are taxable, but at 0%. What do we mean by that? So take taxable supplies, for instance, right? These are normal supplies that are taxable at the applicable VAT rate. And now we've got zero-rated supplies over here, right? What does that mean? That means output VAT can be levied at 0%. What are examples of zero-rated supplies? Examples of zero-rated supplies can be exports and sale of a going concern. Okay, so we can output VAT is levied at 0%. What else can we do here? Because it's a zero-rated supply, we can claim input VAT. To an extent. Another good, which will likely be a zero-rated supply, what is it? It's basic food stuff. Let's give you an example. You've got a bakery, right? And also I have Star White. What is Star White? Star White is similar to Sasco. They make products that are similar to bread, rolls, basically in that kind of production. So Sasco usually supplies bakery, let's call this bakery wheat bakery. So Star White usually supplies wheat bakery with rolls that they would have made. So let's say the rolls are sold to Star White Bakery for a sum of 1,000 rands, and Star White now had 1,000 rand cost, which they would have bought it from Star White. So wheat baker has incurred a cost of 1,000 rand from Star White for 1,000 rands. So these are the sales transactions that took place. But now Star White, now wheat bakery goes on to make sales out of the 1,000 rands rolls for let's say 1,500. Right. So when Star White sells rolls to wheat bakery, does wheat bakery claim VAT in this instance? And does Star White levy output VAT because they've just sold Star White rolls for 1,000 rands, and I mean they've sold Wheat Bakery rolls for 1,000 rand, and Wheat Bakery has basically paid them 1,000 rand for the actual rolls. What are the rolls? The rolls are basic food stuff, which is zero rated supply. So do any of these guys claim VAT in this particular instance? In this instance, no. None of them claims VAT. This guy will not levy output VAT, and this one will not levy input VAT as well. Right. Now I'll take a different scenario. Star White now makes production of these rolls, and they incur different costs, basically. Right. Let's call these costs. They make use of milk. They make use of wheat. They make use of sugar, butter, right, and electricity, and say yeast. Okay, so they incur 5 rand for milk. Wheat, they incur, let's say, 2 rand. And sugar, they incur, let's say, 1 rand. And butter, they incur, let's call it 2 rands. And electricity, they incur, let's call it 5 rand. And yeast, they incur, let's call it 2 rands. So the total cost of this roll, this is a roll, it would have been 5 rand plus 2 plus 1, which is 8, plus 2, which is 10, plus 5 plus 2, which is 17 rands. Right? That is the cost of one batch of one roll. So this batch of one roll, they will now go on to sell it to a wholesale supermarket. They sell it, let's say they sell it to them for 22 rands. Right. Okay. Will Star White claim VAT in this instance? Yes, they will claim VAT for particular items which are not zero rated supplies, even though it's a whole roll which is costing us 17 rands to produce, but the whole roll is not completely made out of zero rated supplies. There are some supplies which may just not be zero rated supplies. So we need to go through the actual list of these components that make up this whole roll to figure out as to whether there would be vettable transactions and they'd be zero rated transactions. So we're starting off with milk. Is milk a taxable supply? No, it's a zero rated supply because it's a basic foodstuff. Okay? The same thing will be applicable for wheat. Why? Because it's a basic food stuff. Right? The same thing will be applicable for sugar because why? It's a basic food stuff. So these are all zero rated supplies. And butter, same thing will be applicable there. It's a basic food stuff. right? And electricity, is it basic foodstuff? Is it zero rated supply? No. Municipality rates are not zero rated supplies in this regard. And so with water, if we had water, and this is electricity, so electricity is a taxable supply. So we will claim that on the 5 rank. So we claim the 15% VAT on the 5 rank. And for East, no, it's not a basic foodstuff. It's a taxable supply. It's not something that we can eat in that state. So we will claim VAT of the 15%. 15. When we bought, so electricity is coming from municipality who are registered VAT vendors, so it would be 15 over 115, and East would have been bought assumingly from a taxable vendor, a vendor that's registered, so we'll also apply the 15 over 115 to claim our VAT. So for these two items, electricity and East would be claiming VAT, taxable supplies. These are taxable supplies. So the 17 rands is not totally made out of like zero rated supplies. So in this instance, we would have claimed VAT as we would have produced this rod. So now, as we're selling the rod now to a wholesale supermarket for 22 rands, will we be paying output VAT on the rod? And the answer to that is no, we will not be paying output VAT, because the rod in its whole nature is basic foodstuff. So it attracts VAT at 0%. So taxable VAT would have been taxable supply, zero rated supply in this instance. So we would have levied VAT at 0%. 22 times 0%, which would have been 0. Would the wholesaler be paying input VAT? No, they did not pay any VAT for the actual item that they got, because they got the item in its full nature, which is a whole rod in this instance. So they would not be paying any VAT, and therefore they'd be paying 0 as well. So that is the basic situation that you must always be very mindful of. So other examples that can arise is that you are giving accounting services as an audit firm in South Africa to a company situated in Germany. What is the VAT that would be applicable in this situation if our services were 50,000 rands? So we would have levied VAT at 0% to the 50,000 rands. That would have been 0. Why is that? Because export services are zero rated. Right? Okay. What else could be a zero rated supply? We had goods which were bought from our South African branch in Germiston, and they were shipped over to America Tobacco Company. Would they be VAT in this situation? Our goods, we sold them for 150 million, and they would attract VAT at 0%. Because why? It's a zero rated supply. Why? It's an export of a good, which is zero rated. Therefore, our VAT output would have been 0. there be no VAT implications in that scenario. And these are the examples and situations that you likely get as you're dealing with zero-rated supplies. However, some export services are not always zero-rated. There are certain conditions and situations that we likely have to look into more detail in determining as to whether we have a zero-rated supply or not in particular export services. However, these are just the basics of just coming to terms with zero-rated supplies. It's a different kind of a supply which attracts VAT at 0%. It's a taxable supply, however, it attracts VAT at 0%. And an example that we gave of the bread is also a very detailed example that you must also just be very cautious about as well. So in answering a question, when they give you an export of a service that is likely as qualifying as a zero-rated supply, and they ask you as to whether is it a zero-rated supply, is it a taxable supply, and you go on to say no, it's not a taxable supply because there is no VAT. It's not a correct way of actually answering that. You will not be marked correct. The right way of answering that question would be, yes, it is a taxable supply which actually levies VAT at 0%. That is the proper way of actually tackling zero-rated supplies. And that's basically what we basically try to elaborate when you're talking about zero-rated supplies.